Heidi ho, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Rockford Ordinance. And today, March, what is it, the 13th? Is it oh, it's the 14th. March 14th edition of Coffee and Kalash. So here we are. I'm a little out of breath. Oh, man. Been running like a madman and been gone for a week, so I apologize, but emergencies come and go, and we took care of them, and here we are. Boy, a lot's going on out there, isn't it, guys? Can you guys hear me okay? I hope so. Let me turn this mic a little closer, and let's get into this thing, huh? I'm going to try and stay away from what you're sick of hearing about, which is, what is in the news everywhere. I'm just going to say one thing about it. I told you guys in the last stream, there has been more gun control bills brought to Congress in the last 2 months, from January 1st through the end of February, than there has been in the last 70 years combined. So ask yourself, why the big push? Why the big push? When you answer that question, you'll have the answers to all of it, my friends. But that's all I'm going to say about it. So that's enough of that. We're going to talk about guns, firearms, what you guys are doing, cool, new stuff you got, what you like, what you don't like. We got a few things for you that we are going to show to you. We got a knife of the week. We've got some cool things we did Sunday. We did a range trip and got some targets here to show you. One that I'm kind of proud of. And we'll tell you what rifle we were shooting. It was a ton of fun. I got some friends out there that don't get to shoot all that much. They came with, had a great time. And it was just a good time had by all. So we're going to bring that to you real quick. I usually don't hit on this till later in the show, so I'm going to hit early and then shush. But this show relies upon you, the viewers, and liking what you see, hopefully, and helping the channel out, because not all our videos get monetized. We rely on super chats here. It's literally our only other form of monetization. So if you comment and you think the product you get here is worth your time and a little of your hard-earned cash, you can click on that $ down there and donate a little bit, whatever you feel like, to the cause. We also hopefully answer your questions quicker when you do that, and it's all appreciated. It all goes back into the channel. So thank you, as always, for those that can contribute. For those that things are tight, hey man, I know it's tough, trust me. It's rough out there, and we want you all to be able to go out and practice with your pew-pews. So, and it is what it is. They call this Koffee and Kalashnikovs for a reason, because, hey, what goes better than a good conversation about our favorite hobby and some good coffee? This is actually German coffee, packed in their little airtight bricks that they sell it in. You can get them here too. You used to never see it here, but now you see all kinds of imported stuff. They pack it in these vacuum sealed things. It looks like in the 80s you could have put a briefcase full of them together and probably rip somebody out for some money. But yeah, it's good German, just a medium roast. It's good. Very good. Actually tastes a little sweet. Wonder what my wife put in there, because I don't take sugar in my coffee. And then, of course, we've got our peach Red Bull. For those of you that haven't tried it, go out there and get some. They don't sponsor me. I wish they would. I wish it was like Brandon and White Claw, but it's Red Bull. They're not going to pick me up. But I want this peach edition to stay around. Looks like it will. And the more people that buy it and drink it, the longer it'll stay around, I think. And I can't live without it. It's wonderful. So I thought we would show you something early this time. Usually we save Knife of the Week till the end, right? And some of you may be around for that. Some of you may have already gone to sleep. And being as we started this stream out a little later than usual, um, I think we'll get going here and show you right away. So those of you that don't normally get to see it, get to see it. So this isn't really a knife. It's actually a bayonet. And we haven't done many bayonets in the past here. We've done plenty of hunting knives, combat knives, pocket knives, a little bit of everything. And I thought, hey, I'd bring you this. So I hinted to in the last Koffee and Kalashnikovs that we came into a nice assortment of pre-ban rifles. And one of them was a Hungarian AKM, a Kaznar import from back in the day. And, you know, back in the day, you guys today, younger guys that just getting into AKs, probably aren't used to it, but you used to be able to buy a Wasser or anything, pretty much a Yugo gun, whatever. And the cool thing was it came with this whole batch of other toys to play with. It came with 2 or 3 magazines. It came with pouches, and it came with cleaning kits and cleaning rods and bayonets and oil bottles and just all kinds of crap, whatever they could shove in there. Because when these importers bought them, it came with all the accoutrements, right? And they thought, what are we going to do with all this crap? Well, they paid pennies on the dollar for the weapons themselves, so why not throw all the stuff in, right? And they did. And this is the bayonet that came with the Hungarian. I'll show you here in a second. It's very similar to a Romanian. I haven't compared them side by side, but just looking at it, it's probably the same sheath. Looks like the same frog and even the same Bakelite handle. Although back in the day when you got a Wasser, the bayonets that came with them were just beat up, man. The Bakelite was dried out and everything. And this thing's like mint. So it's really neat to see one in this kind of shape. And maybe you guys have seen them this nice before. I don't know. But the Bakelite is just mint, not dried out. Usually these buttons look like they've been soaked in brake cleaner for a month and turned light orange. And this is like bark, and it's all super, super nice. I don't have the lighting in here is kind of poor, but darker on a Romanian with the hanger, which I did. Maybe not. I don't know. But if not, I'm sure it's easy to find. I don't know that much about Hungarian stuff, so I don't know. Underneath this rubber is a hook here for a belt clip or something. And funny enough, it also came with this. And if one of you guys can tell me what it is, I know what it is, but I'm asking you, I'd be very impressed if you know what this is. And it's this little piece of metal. This isn't that hard for those of you that have been into AKs for a while, but anybody know what that is? I don't have any prizes, but you'll win Internet Hero of the Night, I guess, if you guess it correctly. So we'll see if we get a couple guesses in here before I tell you what it is. While it does have to do, I think it came from another country's AK package. Let's just say, anybody know? Let's see. And we'll get to your questions here in a minute. All right, looks like nobody's answering, but this is an AK bayonet hanger. However, I've only seen this type come with Chinese bayonets. And the Chinese ones would have little markings here. Oh, there'd be a butterfly, a pelican, different birds, right? And all of them were different. Some were rarer than others at the time, and probably now even rarer. because everybody lost these things, or they'd open up their new Chicom AK back when they were still being imported. This would be in the box, and they went, "Huh, what the hell is that?" Probably some packaging. Boom, toss it out, or maybe they thought it went with the sling or something. But it's actually like for your belt loop, and then this part hooks on the AK or on the bayonet, like on that hook on the back. Well, first of all, this hook doesn't fit this. Second of all, I've only seen these on Chinese AKs, so who knows if it belongs to it or not. Where these pre-bands came from, they were from a large collection, and it could have been for a Chinese gun that was at one time in the collection. Anyhow, here is that Hungarian bayonet, and it looks very similar to any Romanian one you'd see, or even a Russian for that matter, or a Chinese for that matter. It does have the wire cutters. I don't know how familiar some of you are with AK bayonets, but this little dealy hickus right there, that nub, see it, is made for that cutout in the bayonet. And what you do is, give me a second here. There we go. You hook it on there, and you have a wire cutter for cutting barbed wire, getting through enemy lines. It works like that, and it pivots on. It's a pivot point for the wire cutter. A lot of you that are into AKs probably knew that. Some of you probably didn't, but there's all kinds of nifty little tools built into the end of it here. And yeah, it's just kind of cool. So that's what that notch is on AK bayonets. They are not normally very sharp, and they're single-edged. You can see the grind of the angle on that side, and on this side there is none. But they're still sharp. I mean, this one's sharper than most. It's in really good shape. Serrated along the back edge here to cut rope and whatnot. There's the loop to go over the barrel. There's a hook to, usually there's a lanyard that goes from there to the lanyard hole here. And that's missing on this particular one. I don't know why. It's brand new in the box, so I assume this is how it came. I don't think the rifle was unfired and brand new in the box. So unless they took some pieces out at some time to play with or show, and they never made it back in, that could be the case. But also, this is how it could have come. I don't know. Maybe if one of you has a Kaznar new in the box, they'd know how it came. But this is as it's new in the box. So this was all that was in there. It was missing the frog and the little hand lanyard, and there was this clip in there, which to me I've only seen on Chinese rifles, and there's no way to really clip it on this one. Although it has the hook here, it doesn't fit in there unless I'm doing it wrong, but works perfect on a Chinese one because I have one on that, but not this. Here's the button to release it. You put it over the barrel and over the bayonet lug, and it'll clip in, and then this button releases it when you want to pull it off. They work great. They're very sturdy. The Bakelite is beautiful on this one. Like I said, similar to Romanian. There you have it. Knife of the week, guys. Bayonet of the week. And I thought we'd do that early since we came on so late. I apologize. And we've got a lot of folks that come in here that are on Eastern time, a lot from Michigan. And also, I apologize. I know it's late there in Florida too, but better late than never, right? We premiered a video tonight to tide you guys over. I wanted to put it out last night, but I had been out of town, and just yesterday I was exhausted, so I didn't get it up and published. So I thought I'd do a a little live premiere tonight at 8 o'clock. It came out, and that video, it's a reloading video, and it's about preparing brass to reload. So whether you reload or not, probably a ton of you guys um, keep your brass or collect brass, and that's a good thing because one day you may decide to reload, or hey, you got all this brass and it's a commodity. Right now, 1,000 new. I just paid for this. 1,000 556 new brass, Sunline brass, 1,000 rounds of it ready to go, all brand new, not once fired. It was somewhere between 250 and $300. They're selling once fired stuff at Cabela's and whatnot. 250 of them, I believe, were either one, I think one and a quarter, 125, $150. I mean, guys, that's money, man. You can sell it. Even if you collect stuff you don't shoot or you don't reload, you can sell it to guys easily. But guys will pay more if the brass is prepped. So it's really easy to clean and whatnot. The harder part is getting it all trimmed and everything. So anyhow, I hear a ton of guys on the internet complaining about the different trimmers they have, different gadgets they can hook to their drill or the mini hand lathes and whatnot. And they say, oh, they're not repeatable. I can't get the same measurement out of them, this and that, all these complaints. On the Dillon, we have it figured out. I have a whole nother tool head with a electric trimmer. And as I crank, zip, 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 greatest thing ever. But for years, I trimmed with an RCBS Trim Pro 2. And it's simply, it's got a holder that'll hold any case from 223 all the way to 30-06, 45 caliber, whatnot. Clips in there. You've got a pilot on the mini lathe end that goes in the mouth of the case and a cutter, and you set the stop to cut it to the length you want, and you crank till it won't cut anymore, and it's done. Others are all these gadgets, right? And guys have a hard time getting a repeatable measurement. And that's a big thing when you're reloading because it can throw off your crimp pressure, all kinds of stuff. So you want it, if anything, repeatable, where it's the same on every one. Maybe you're 1,000th off or something, but as long as they're all the same, you're good, right? Well, I've been using this forever and I've never had a problem. I can crank out 10 rounds, 50 rounds, 100 rounds, 1,000 rounds. And once I set that thing, they are all identical. It works wonderfully. I can grab a handful and measure them all right here, right now, and they'd all be the same number. So I started to do a video just on the trimming and thought, you know what? Brass prep is the hardest part of reloading. The actual putting the primer in, dropping the powder, putting the bullet in and crimping it, that's the funnest part of it, right? Because you end up with immediate application of these rounds loaded. But it's the easy part. Once the machine's set up and everything, boom, you're cranking them out. But to get that brass that you've shot or picked up at the range clean and ready to go is the hard, tedious, dirty, terrible part. So I went through the process we've used for years and years through tons of trial and error and development. I came with this set of operations. And I thought to show everybody and then show the trimming and show you that if you've got a pattern, you can take brass that's been laying on the ground, buried in sand at the range, literally black, and turn it into brand new, lustrous, perfect, swear it was new brass. And it's pretty simple. So that's what the video is about. I know a lot of you aren't into reloading, but if you watch it and you say, hey, that doesn't look too bad, and actually the prep part of it is cheap. So if you got a bunch of brass laying around and maybe want to make a little money on it or something, hey, you could clean it up and do that and sell a bunch of it and make tons of money. Certainly pay for the little bit of equipment you need to do it. And the basic steps are, if I get it back from, and then we'll get into other stuff. I'll quit boring you with reloading, but um, basically, you got it from the range. If it's dry, no problem. I throw it in a coffee can, but 9 times out of 10, it's wet, muddy, sandy, this, that, the other. So I throw it in a colander or a basket, whatever you have, and I just run it under hot water, shake it, dump it in an old pitcher, shake it with water, get all the crap out. I do that 4 or 5 times till all the loose dirt, debris, leaves, grass, all that is out of it, right? Because you don't want to run anything through dyes or equipment that has that kind of stuff. You can scratch it, ruin them, whatever. Once that's done, I immediately usually like to deprime them because we want to clean the primer pockets. So I run them through a deprimer dye, which is wider than the brass actually. So you're not coming into contact with it. You're just coming in contact with the pin that punches the primer out. So I'll punch all the primers out, and then we'll toss them in our ultrasonic cleaner. There's a solution you can buy that goes in there, or you can make it at home. I'm going to do a recipe on a video or a recipe for the brass cleaning solution I've developed over the years. It works so incredibly awesome, better than anything you can buy in the store. You have everything you need to make it under your kitchen sink or in your garage right now, and maybe even your refrigerator. But you can make it for pennies, and it's amazing. If you're not going to do all the other stuff, hey, you could collect the brass, soak it in this stuff for 10, 15 minutes, rinse it off, and sell this stuff. You'll get a lot more money for it for pennies. So anyways, goes in the ultrasonic with the solution, comes out of there looking pretty darn good, right? Really good. We rinse it off again to neutralize that. And then you could dry it. You guys put it in the oven, they put it out in the sun, this, that. That all takes time. Plus, we want to get it extra clean, extra shiny. I like my stuff looking like brand new. So I toss it in a tumbler with corncob media and tumble it. That does a couple things. It dries it relatively quickly, 5-10 minutes. And number two, it polishes it even a little bit more. Now you're going to need to size it. So it's clean enough now to run through your sizing die, right? And rifle cartridges, you have to lubricate. So you lube it, run it through, and size them all. Now you're going to measure them, and you'll probably need to trim them back to size. So in the oversized ones, you run through the trimmer. And then last but not least, I throw them back in the tumbler to tumble off the lube. Some guys will wipe them off with a rag. That's tedious, one at a time, and it doesn't get it all off. And if you don't, when you fire them, it gets black. So the shells look terrible after you fire them for your next reload. So you're better off tumbling them 5-10 minutes just to get it off, and they're good to go and ready to prime, powder, bullet. And while it sounds quick, it is a lot of steps, but hey, every time I come back from the range, I got a coffee can, I toss them in. Before you know it, you got a ton. And that's saleable stuff, guys, in any caliber. And you can do all the basics other than sizing and trimming for next to nothing. Tumbler at Harbor Freight, maybe 30, 40 bucks. And any old ultrasonic will do, or you don't even have to do that. You could just tumble them. So, but our process works good. You see on the thumbnail of that video and in the video how perfect that brass is. That was 30-06 brass. Actually, we shot it through our Garand once. Then some was shot through the BAR at 2 AEDUs get together, and then we reloaded it after that. And that's what you see in the video. That stuff went through the BAR. A couple dings in some of it, but other than that, it's doing well. That brings me to our range trip. So Sunday, I went down to see a couple friends south of the Cheddar Curtain. And as some of you may know, there's been some new laws put in place down there. So, while I follow it, it doesn't affect me anymore. So it's like, hey guys, what's going on? Can I bring this or bring that? What do you think? What are you guys doing? And I just thought better. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to bring my Grand, right? No problem there. It's legal in any case, I would think, pretty much, hopefully, my God. And I had developed a new load, anyways, using some new IMR powder and some heavier bullets. We usually load 150 grainers. I loaded 168 grain ELD match bullets with some IMR 4064 and coming out at 2,500 feet per second, something like that. And iron sights, of course, in a Grand, right? And I took a couple, and they are clips. They're not magazines, they're clips. I shot 2 8-round clips, kind of sighting it in, dialing it in. And then I ran this. This was on the 12th, so a couple days ago. And this is the target. And I put my info here, when, the date, what gun, the load, all of that. And I staple them at the corners. And here it was really windy that day, so we had to staple all over. So I apologize. This is ripped out from one of the staples. But look at that group there. That's iron sights, guys, out of an 80-year-old World War II rifle with hand loads. 8 rounds in the clip. All here. I did have one here. I must have flinched or something. But it's 2.75 MOA at 100. Iron sights with my old eyes, and hey, that's pretty darn good in my book. With iron sights, I'll take it all day long. 30-06. That was the best target I shot of the day, and yeah, it was fun. It was windy as hell too when I shot this one, but the wind was kind of at our backs, and yeah, not bad, huh? So it was a fun day. I don't know. I probably put over 100 rounds through it, and I'm really getting used to the trigger and just how the gun runs. Maybe any of you guys got a little of experience with Grands. I would load it, fire the first round, and almost every time when that bolt came forward to load the second round, it missed picking it up. Now, I've heard rumors that during the trials, back when they were showing this gun to the Army, that was a known issue, and that's why they loaded some clips with the first bullet starting on the left and others where the first one started on the right. And it ran better one way. I think if they started on the left, they ran better. I thought they had gotten rid of that problem, though, after 80 years or whatever, or during their production. But I seem to be experiencing it. I think that was the problem they were having and what was equated to that, the way they loaded the clips. So during the trials with the Army, they made sure that every clip that was loaded to go through those trials guns started with the first bullet on the whatever side it was. I can't remember, right or left. So maybe one of you guys knows or has heard of that, and let me know if I'm on the right trail there, and maybe if there's any other fix besides just loading it from the one side or whatever. But other than that, it shot magnificently. Recoil is great for a 30-06. The peephole sights are fabulous on it. Easy to pick up. It's just such a great gun. I know whenever I talk about Grands on here, a ton of people love Grands on the channel. Whenever I do a video on them, even if it's just a range trip video, people love them. And it's truly the rifle that saved the world. Patton called it quite possibly the greatest implement of war ever developed, right? Because at its time, we went into battle and they all had bolt actions, right? What a huge, huge leg up having an autoloader with 8 rounds behind it compared to everybody else running bolt actions, right? And having just as big a caliber and the ability to reach out the same distances and all of that. It was a huge help in our liberating of Europe. And it's just so much fun to shoot. If you've never shot one or don't own one, try and get your hands on one. There's some at the CMP, and man, you'll miss out and you'll be kicking yourself if you don't get one. I know a couple of the guys have gotten them recently, and I'm sure they're enjoying them. So that's what we did Sunday. One of the guys was shooting a 22 that he got a new scope for. And some of you guys have heard me talk about Scrodlip. Well, Scrodlip came along. He just inherited a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of bench rest bolt action guns from his deceased uncle, who was very near and dear to him. His uncle was the guy that introduced him to shooting. Scrodlip's parents were great people, but super, I don't know how you describe it. I don't think they were left. I think they were conservative. His dad was an engineer and pocket protector and that kind of thing. And his uncle took Paul shooting and hunting and all that stuff and taught him these bench rest guns. And he remembers shooting them as a kid. And the one he brought with was a rifle I was not familiar with. It was a Remington 40X, and that particular gun was in 22-250 with a Krieger barrel. And these bench rest barrels, if you guys don't know bench rest guns, I don't know much about them. But I mean, that barrel is that thick, stainless steel. This gun weighs, I don't even know, 20 pounds maybe. It's got a high comb stock that's notched for the bolt coming back. What the 40X bolt action gun is, it's by Remington, and it's essentially a 700 Remington. But from my understanding, it came out of the custom shop, and they were just that much nicer, that much smoother than a 700. Better trigger. Everything was, jeweled, like the bolt was jeweled and everything in them. Funny thing was, there's not a normal bolt release like on most hunting bolt guns where you push a button and you can pull the bolt out the back for cleaning and whatnot. We looked everywhere for a bolt release. I looked online, couldn't find anything. Finally, I saw a guy was re-bluing one and showed where the bolt release was. But to me, it looked like you have to take it out of the stock to take the bolt out of it, which is crazy to me since it's meant to be most likely a bench rest gun. So unless I missed something, I don't know. Maybe one of you has run across one of these Remington 40Xs and will let us know. But Scradlip's uncle was a engineer by trade. And put it this way, they once had a problem with a Marlin lever action. He had bought Scradlip as a gift one year in 35 Remington, another cool cartridge that I had never come across till one of these guns. Love to hunt deer with that if I could. I love that lever action. Kind of an odder cartridge. I don't know if they were super popular back then. Shorter cartridge, kind of like 30-30, but I think a lot more oomph. It's a brush buster, that's for sure. And anyhow, when he got Scradlip this gun, it was shooting all over the place. And he, I guess, mic'd out the barrel, and yeah, sure enough, it was off, way off. So he sent a letter or called the engineers, told them what the measurements were, this and that. And they apparently trusted his credentials enough, whatever he told them or sent them, that they didn't even bother with, send the gun in, this and that. They sent him a new barrel. He put it in and boom, boom, boom. And here's the gun today. And it's still shooting like it did then. But these bench rest guns are pretty interesting. He had a 1903 Springfield bolt action World War I gun. And I know about the gun, so I always tease him whenever he pulls out. I say, "Oh my God, look at that beautiful milsurp just destroyed by your uncle. Destroyed. He was a destroyer of history, Scrod Lip." And I just joke with him all the time. He took a 19, he did destroy one, but I don't know what kind of shape it was in before. Yeah, it's kind of a shame if it was a perfectly functional rifle in 30-06, but now it's still a 30-06, but it's got a Krieger barrel again, that thick. He kept the factory stock, the World War I stock. He hogged it out for the barrel, even the handguard that goes over it, held on by a barrel ring. He made fit, although there is a bigger gap between the stock and the handguard. And you know what? I didn't even look at what he used for rings, but however he made, I assume he made new rings to hold it on. And these guns are straight out of like the 70s. The super one had a Redfield scope about this long with the skinny tube and just the bell out here. But you look through these things and they're crystal clear. And they work as good as the day they came out. Now, are they equal to modern optics? I'm sure there's better, but you know what? Back in the day, when you paid big money for glass, I'm betting that glass is can still hold its own today. 30 years laying around, and he whips this thing up on the bags, and bam! I mean, like clover leaf all in one hole, almost touching. With factory ammo even. We're lucky enough to have his uncle's recipes that he dialed in for these guns, all written down. We have his dies, and even the brass and some of the loads he did. He was shooting some of the loads his uncle had built at least 20 years ago. So it's really cool for him now in his 50s to be able to go out and shoot the same guns that his uncle introduced him to shooting back when he was a teenager, and shoot the ammo that he loaded for these guns back then. The ammo is almost as old as he is, and it's still shooting that well, and these rifles are shooting that well. And I asked him, I said, these are pretty specialized guns. And being a teenager, he learned about them, but he didn't give them all that much information, I guess. I said, was your uncle, there's a lot of these guys, they shoot around and they swab the barrel and they let it cool. I said, did he do all that? Was he a cleaning nut and a barrel break-in and all this stuff? And he said, no, I don't ever remember him doing that. We'd clean them when we got home, but that was about it. I said, do you remember the process? A lot of guys have, don't touch it with this and only that. He said, no, we just clean them. And I don't know if he's cleaned them in a couple trips now, but the next time he comes out or we go down there, we're going to put them on the bench and we're going to go through them and clean them and scope them and everything and make sure they're doing okay. But boy, they sure shot like they're doing okay. Pretty amazing, like 2-pound triggers or less, spot on, beautiful glass, old, let's see, pushing 40-year-old ammo, and like nothing. But that 1903 Springfield is really neat to see it all in the factory stock with this ginormous Krieger barrel in it. And really, really neat. He did all the work himself, barreled these things, made any custom changes. Some have these peephole adjustable iron sights on them, and just, I wish I knew more about it. It's really neat. Maybe we'll bring you a video on these guns. I'll do some research, but fully well knowing I don't know squat about them. And maybe some guys that bench rest shoot and can appreciate this stuff can tell us something about them, because they really are cool, especially that 1903 Springfield appeals to me. It's one rifle I don't have in my collection that I would like to have. Obviously we've got different iterations of or clones of the M16 or M4, and I've got the Garand and carbine and whatnot. But that's as far back as I go. I'd like to have that 1903 as an example of World War One, and go even further back than that. It'd be kind of cool. So to see that rifle done up like that was really kind of cool. Um, just cool stuff. So it was a fun day out, albeit I felt so bad going back down there, and I almost hated to go and have to shoot down there, almost like I was new laws down there. Almost felt like I'm just betraying everything I stand for, going down and being subject to this when I don't even live there anymore. And I don't know. It just didn't feel right. I don't know. I feel bad. I feel really bad for the people that are living under that right now. And hopefully they get an injunction. I know they've got an injunction, I guess, from a few counties down south and a few people named in the suit that they brought down south there. But from my understanding, and I could be wrong, I know there's some Illinois people here that listen, and maybe they can tell me. So he's either a senator or a congressman, I believe, in Illinois, put out a thing on his Facebook wanting people to join this suit. And the way he put it out on Facebook was, hey, give a donation and you can be part of the lawsuit. And people took that as, hey, if you give a donation, we'll let you in on the lawsuit and we'll get you the temporary restraining order, so they wouldn't have to worry about it. Well, a bunch of people gave donations and then realized, or all of a sudden, hey, I'm not part of that suit. And what he said was, well, giving a donation will make you part of our organization. And the organization is naming a few people and suing the state. So it was almost kind of like he weaseled these campaign donations, right? And a bunch of people are now suing over it, suing him and I watched the Facebook video, and at first it came off like he didn't say anything wrong. But then the second time he said it, yeah, it could have certainly have been taken that, yep, give this donation, we'll make you part of the lawsuit. I think they got a case, and shame on this guy. Did he do it on purpose? Some people are saying no. I don't know. You don't make that mistake. You don't make that mistake. And as a politician, you have to be clear on things like that, concise. To me, they knew it going in and they used it to gain campaign donations. My thoughts. So even in a situation like this that affects so many people, is important to so many people in their rights, you've got guys that are playing the good guy and doing the wrong thing. That really pisses me off. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to give the benefit of the doubt in this case. And again, it's just my opinion. Who knows? I guess they'll sort it out in court. But be interesting to see more on that. And there's a couple of videos on YouTube about it if you look it up. I can't remember his name. It starts with a C, the senator, congressman, whatever. And but I haven't heard of anything that a restraining order coming out statewide. So unfortunately, the majority of that state is having their rights denied right now. While I was there, we stopped in one shop for one of the guys to get some ammo. And I went in and walked around, and they had whatever was legal out. And then they had a roped off area with a sign that read, Um, that you were only allowed to cross this line if law enforcement officer or you had a certificate or paper that said you were part of the temporary restraining order or whatever. You had a TRO. So that was weird to see. And this was a shop that had tons of everything, and it's cut down to nothing. No parts, no anything. They can't even sell parts. Uh, One of the guys was explaining he tried to buy a stock, can't get that. You couldn't buy a buffer tube, you couldn't buy a trigger, you couldn't buy a fore end, you couldn't buy any part of what they call an assault weapon, not one single part. So what happens when your gun goes bad or something breaks? Oh well, guess you're out of luck. So hopefully they get something moving there pretty quick and get this thing turned around. I don't know. It was just sad to see, though. Let's see who's in here. Sorry, guys. I waited 46 minutes to see who's in the chat. Hattori Hanzo, first one in, made home in time for kickoff. Yeah, only because we were late by an hour. But it's good to have you, man. Joe Mercado, hi from La Crosse. Got a gentleman I met the other day from La Crosse. Actually, one of them came to see me today. They came down from Minnesota and they live just over the border. I like La Crosse. We would cross over through La Crosse into Minnesota every year on our way to Sturgis. And the southern part of Minnesota, I think I've said this before to you guys, on a nice sunny summer day, man, is it beautiful. These rolling hills of croplands. It's just gorgeous. Really, really nice. I love Minnesota. It's a shame what they've done to the Twin Cities and just terrible, terrible, terrible. The rest of the state is fabulous, but yeah. They managed to import just enough people to destroy the entire thing. MZ is here. Good to see you, man. Ross, of course. Ross was in watching our premiere, and boy, he said things aren't going good in Michigan either. They're dealing with the same stuff. He said they have passed or presented at least 30 bills in the anti-gun bills in the state of Michigan this month, I believe, or February maybe, in March. 30 bills, even one that bans anyone from under the age of 18 having a BB gun anywhere except on their own property, I guess. Yep, that's what we're coming to. Pretty soon, I wonder if you'll be able to watch what's the Christmas Story. Wonder if you'll be able to watch Christmas Story in the next year or two on TV. You know, every year at Christmas, they play it 30 million times. That movie where the kids put their tongue on the pole in the winter and it sticks to it. And all he wants for Christmas is his Daisy Red Ryder BB gun. And they show him fantasizing about it and how he could do the cowboys and Indians and the bank robbers and all that. Well, first of all, we can't talk about cowboys and Indians, right? That's not proper anymore. Although, I don't know. What was wrong with it? I always wanted to be the Indian, right? I don't know. Didn't you guys? Always wanted to be the Indian. And yeah, but we can't do that anymore. I don't know. We all held Indians, Native Americans in high reverence, right? For what they were able to do. All the cool stuff, you know, stealthy ninjas of the woods with their bows and arrows and all that skill, being able to hunt and fight and ride horseback like they did. Magnificent, magnificent warriors, right? We revered them. It's not any slang or anything hatred toward them. Nothing but reverence. I don't know, but you know, hey, we're wrong, I guess. So how many more years do you think it'll be till they say, well, we can't have children wanting Daisy Red Ryder BB guns for Christmas? and they pull a Christmas classic off the air. Oh, God, I don't know. But yeah, Michigan is definitely under attack. Um, you tell me how Whitmer got back in. But the good news is Beetlejuice is gone for those of you down south there. Beetlejuice is gone. I thought, man, you watch. I was just kind of thinking they're gonna elect her again, but they didn't. I guess Chicago's had enough of that. And from all accounts, talking to friends that have been down there for different events, things like that, they said the downtown area is nothing, uh, not even a glimmer in the eye of its former self. It's terrible. Insane Wang is in here. I'm terrible pronouncing. I believe that's Vietnamese, right? And I used to know the H and the. I got to think about the one name that always came up, and I finally realized how to pronounce it, and now I forgot again. Oh well. MZ, on a happy note, I just picked up a new Sam 7R62 today. So for those of you that don't know, and I believe I'm correct, the 62 is the accurized version, or the one that is guaranteed concentric for a suppressor, I believe. Correct, MZ? I thought about getting one, and then I thought, I already got one. It's just not guaranteed concentric, but it is concentric. And I thought, yeah, just another marketing tool, I guess. I don't know. Insane said, have you gotten your SAM 5 issue sorted out yet? No, I had sort of family emergency and had to take care of that for the last couple of weeks. So we are going to be at our new home range up here. And if I can tomorrow, I have some commitments, but I'm going to get out there and shoot a whole bunch. And I still have not talked to the gentleman from Arsenal. So I'm sorry I'm letting you guys down, but we will get it sorted out and we will show you and bring it to you. I do want to run a bunch more rounds to it just to see. It's not going to do anything bad or good either way, so why not? And we'll take a second look at it with the same but fresh set of eyes and after a different circumstance, and try and get another, I don't know, 500 rounds through it or so and see what happens. We'll go from there. Maybe it was a lot of wear up front and it settles in real quick, and that's that. I don't know. And I think a lot of people looked at it, my video, me talking about it, telling the story, that I was just some guy freaking out about a little wear on an AK. Like I didn't know, like I was new to AKs, didn't understand that there's, a wear in process and that things do lose some paint and get beaten up a little bit. And that's just part of the process, that I'm an all AR guy and I just don't know. Well, those of you that are here every week know that's the furthest thing from the truth. And that I understand it. I get it, Is never that guy with, oh my God, look at the tail. Who gives it? I never cared about a tail, even when back in the Tapco days when they were mushrooming pretty good. Who cared? They all settled in. They all lose paint on a painted bolt, whatever. But this was seriously, for the few rounds that went through it, some serious pounding. And I thought, man, with just those few rounds, if this keeps up, but who knows? It may have settled right in. Either way, there's going to be a fix. He promised me coming out for those that have problems. And I do know this thing is severely overgassed. There's no question about that. Whether or not that causes it to beat itself to death, I don't know. I doubt it, kind of, but I do think it's putting more wear than it should on it. Whether it progresses, I don't know. But I certainly would appreciate and like a fix to where the gun is gassed properly. And yes, I know all AKs are overgassed to some extent, which is what adds to their reliability. You overgas something, therefore, when you've got many different types of rounds being built by many countries and companies, that the weakest of them will cycle the round, and the good ones or normal ones will really cycle the bolt and go into battery and all that good stuff. So yeah, I get all that. But when you have a gun that, no shit, and I'll get this on film too, is sending brass 80 feet, that's not right. It's just not right. And you should see what it does to the brass too. I mean, I get it. Brass dents on an AK. It dents on a Tavor. But this, nah, it's overgassed, way overgassed. And frankly, the gun should shoot much softer, much nicer, faster follow-up shots. And being gassed the way it is, you don't get that benefit out of it. It's no faster really than a 7.62 by 39 as far as being able to recover the sights and all that. I'm not saying the recoil is great or terrible or overpowering. I'm just saying for the round, for a semi-automatic 5.56 it should shoot much softer with much less recoil, much less bounce than it has. That's part of the appeal, right? That's why guys like 5.56 guns, right? Much less recoil than the 7.62. Yeah, that's what it's about. So I want to be able to have the benefit of that and not deal with the overgassing. No, it's not a thing of, oh my God, I can't stand the massive, uncontrollable recoil of the terrifying 223 rifle. No, it's not that. It's just that I wanted a soft shooting fast gun where it's pop, 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 and you can, you're on target. You can stay on the sights and stay on target. That's what I want. That's what I wants to get. Who else? Rabbit Hole's in here. Good to see you, man. MZ. Let's see. So yeah, we will be sorting out the SAM5 issues here. And we've had so much snow. You can't even believe it. They were calling for, I don't know what it was, like 5 or 6 or 7, and we got a foot. And then it was kind of mellowing out. And then we were supposed to get 2 inches and we got another foot. And it just keeps coming. This has been one hell of a winter for snow up here, let me tell you. So I was just thinking that, man, I can get to the range and try out my new brass picker-upper. And I can't get the snow to go away to get to any of the brass. Good news is with this much snow, there's going to be a ton of brass under that snow once it all melts off. So I can't wait for that. Can't understand what I'm saying. Keeps lagging. Anybody else getting lagging? I'm not showing any delay here. We're on whatever it's called, 5 gigahertz, and everything's looking good on this end. Usually it shows me if the stream's slowing down or anything, but it's been good here. Hopefully it is on your end too. Usually if I'm good here, no complaints. So hopefully it's okay, or maybe it was just a little glitch. Let me know. Very glitchy. That's Country Boy Kale saying that. I'm sorry, man. I apologize. Mobile Gamers Unite. Give it a minute. You will catch up. Country Boy Kale, close out and come back in usually works for me. Michigan. Yeah, FTW. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Mobile Gangers. I got about 1,000 rounds of AK ammo on the way right now while I can still get it. Any experience with ZSR 7.62 by 51 M80? No. However, There was a batch of that stuff that came out that was blowing up a few things. And I believe the batch number was 15. So I've only heard about rounds from batch 15, but from my understanding is there were at least 3 guys on YouTube showing that one that blew up um, an M14 scout rifle. Springfield Armory blew it up. I think the other one was an M14 as well. And another one might have been, oh God, I don't remember now, but 2 M14s that I know of with that stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that same stuff. Isn't it? It's reboxed, I think. Any experience with it? Multiple reports that's blowing up guns. Yeah, he just said the same thing. I guess I should have read further. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, I saw that the other day. Um, when it comes to 7.62 by 51, I pretty much shoot M80 ball, but usually Winchester white box, for that, or my reloads. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what country that stuff came out of. But interesting, huh? And they caught it on camera too in at least one of the cases. The one M14 Scout, I believe. The other one might be on video too. Ordered an AP5P from Gun Prime for $9.99. Sounds like a pretty good deal, man. Blew up, it blew up as a Zastava. That's right. Yep, it did. It did. I don't remember. They showed pieces of that one. Blew through the stock and all. Luckily, nobody was hurt. And yeah, it's coming out of Turkey. Guys, I watch so much stuff, and I have it playing in the background to keep me up to date on stuff, but it's almost impossible to sort through everything that's out there and then bring it to you guys. I try to concentrate on the issues I'm having, but I know you guys you want to hear a little bit about it, so I try to stay up to date on as much as I can. But yeah, it took out a Zastava. That's right. And then 2 M14s, all 3 from lot 15. So if you got some of that, check the box. If it's lot 15, don't do it. The company is offering to at least, they said they'd take care of the issue. I don't know if that meant ammo. I doubt they're going to take care of the guns, although Springfield Armory did have the customer send that one back. But it doesn't seem like Springfield Armory's fault now, does it? Yeah, that's a terrible thing. It was ammo. Yes, it was. It was the same ammo. ZSR 9mm was fine for me, but I'm going to avoid. Yeah, and again, it's all from that same lot. No other reports. If you would think if it was an ongoing issue, you would have heard of more of it, or certainly the 3 you heard of from different lots if it was ongoing. But isn't that weird how something can happen like that? You're running a production line, and I get it. I've run production lines. All of a sudden, something goes wrong, and you're producing, and if somebody doesn't catch it, doesn't see it, or there's no fail safe for it, it's kind of like running a progressive press, like my Dylan. You say, well, why would it not drop powder? It's dropping powder. There's nothing stopping it. It's a manual rod, and it's going to drop. And unless I run out of powder, it's going to drop it every time. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe something got in there, clogged up. Maybe something broke. Maybe whatever. But that's one of my biggest fears after I had it happen to me is squib rounds. I've had and or been present for, probably 3 times when I could have had a squib round turn into catastrophe. And Is that a lot for it to happen to me and or person I was shooting with 3 times in whatever? Well, considering the amount of rounds I shoot and then the rounds of especially the guy that Fabrizio from El Tenda's channel. He comes in here, breezy. It happened to him. I was with him. I was filming, and it happened to me before I started the channel, and it happened to me one other time. I may have had it on camera too. But here's what happens for those of you that don't know. You think a bullet blowing up a gun is terrible, right? Well, you say, well, it's got to be overcharged, right? Most likely, yeah. However, a squib round will do the same thing, the exact same thing. A round doesn't get powder, let's say, and just the primer goes off. Or maybe there's just a little bit of powder and the primer goes off, ignites that little bit. Or maybe the powder's bad and it doesn't burn quite right. Whatever the case may be, you get a partial burn, partial explosion, and it doesn't put the bullet all the way out the barrel. It fires, the bullet travels down the barrel, whatever length, and stops, essentially blocking the barrel, right? And the person shooting doesn't notice or doesn't notice in time if they're firing quickly. And the bullets went far enough down the barrel for the next round to chamber and go into battery completely. And they pull the trigger, it goes boom, and guess what? Boom, the gun blows. Now, there's a picture, at least a picture, maybe a video of a High Point where I think High Point actually put it out. They got it back for warranty. I forget how many rounds. It was like 10 or 15 or 20 rounds put down the barrel, and they show them all in the barrel. This guy fired them and they all went and it never blew up. And they kind of use that as a testament to look how strong our guns are. It's crazy. I forget if it was a cutaway shot of the barrel or an x-ray shot of the barrel or something. I don't know. Hilarious though, an actual true case. But you will probably not be so lucky. Whether it's a rifle round, God forbid, or a pistol round, and that squib goes off, let's say you're shooting, boom, you don't notice the change in report or change in recoil, and you fight, and it went far enough down the barrel to where the next one will chamber, and you go, boom, that gun's going up. I'd say almost every time, I would say. I had it happen to me like this. I was shooting an AK, and I believe it was either a Wasser or a Yugo M70 AB2. And I had a new case. I had 2 cases of Silver Bear ammo. Full case, bought brand new. And I had shot a bunch of it already. Great ammo. And I'm at a public range in northern Wisconsin. And it was a busy Sunday. And all the benches next to me, around me, all the way down the line were filled. And guys were rattling off like crazy, boom, 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 the whole friggin' time. And I'm shooting, boom, 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 boom. And just something, because of the noise and everything, I didn't really hear the report or the difference in report, but I just felt something weird. And actually, I think it failed to chamber the next round, I believe, or eject that failure to eject, one of the two. Or it chambered and didn't reset the trigger, something, I forget what. So I didn't think nothing of it because I didn't hear the difference in report. I thought, well, whatever. I pull back on the charging handle and I believe the brass went out at that point. I think it was failure to eject. So I didn't think much of it, and I let the bolt carrier fly, and it goes forward. Seemed like it chambered. I go, nothing. That's what it was. It didn't reset the trigger. I think no. Let me think. I don't know. Whatever. It didn't go in the battery. It wouldn't fire. So I look and I'm like multiple times trying to slam it in the battery, thinking what the, and then it click, the light went on. And now this is again me, someone that shoots a lot, right? And I thought, So I dropped the mag, I pulled that round out, and I took the dust cover off, took the bolt carrier out. So completely disassembled, so nobody can say, hey, what's that guy doing over there? Because I'm going to look down the barrel, right? I looked from the back, actually, and I held it up to the sun, and there's a bullet stuck in the barrel. Thank God it didn't travel far enough to allow that next round to chamber. Because if it had, I wasn't thinking about it, and I didn't hear the difference in report because of the other gunfire. And I just thought, well, failure to eject. I saw the brass go flying, and then something just clicked, and I went, oh. But even an experienced guy like me, I almost didn't catch it at first. It could have been tragic had that next round chambered and I pulled the trigger. I just got lucky enough that it didn't go far enough. So I had that piece of brass there when I ejected it. I watched it go to the ground. So I grabbed that piece of brass and I'm looking, and all the powder's in it. And it's a wood bench. I knock it out on the wood bench. I have pictures of it somewhere. And it looked like orangish, reddish tobacco almost, like you had opened a cigarette up. The tobacco, the powder had gotten either wet or it hadn't gotten wet. The case wasn't wet. The boxes weren't wet. The tissue inside the boxes, everything was normal. So the case had never been wet. To this day, I believe something during manufacturing, maybe oil or grease from a machine dripped into it, or something that was in the powder when they made the bullet. I don't think it was water intrusion because they were sealed cases, both primer and neck. And I had the case. I had two cases. At that point, I had about 1,500 rounds left. One unopened case, one that this one had come out of with 500 or 600 rounds left in it. And I went, oh man, And so I had the powder. I had the bullet, or not the bullet, but I had the bullet too. I knocked it out of the barrel with a cleaning rod. And I had the shell casing. And the primer was blown. Powder was not burnt. Like I said, it looked like the powder went bad, pure and simple. Who knows? Maybe powder got caught up in whatever machine they had in a corner of something, and that powder had been there for who knows how long, and all of a sudden it worked itself loose, dropped down the whatever powder drop they use at the factory, and put this chunk load of bad powder in there. I don't know. I shot the rest of that case and the next one without another failure. Although it really sucked shooting that stuff because you had that in the back of your mind until that last round was gone, So there was the one, right? The other one I have on video, it's on my channel. You can see it. The video is called Range Day with El Tenda or something like that. He had an FN FAL that DS, the guys that make all the FNs, DSL, DS, whatever, had given him this new shorty carbine FN to test out for his channel. They had also given him a bunch of Polish contract 308 ammo. And he loads in a mag, charges it. He shoots a couple rounds, and then all of a sudden, nothing. He jacks the round out, and I see the brass go flying along with a string of powder spraying everywhere. He racks another one in and goes like this. And thank God, again, it didn't chamber. But the same thing had happened. It was a squib. Neither of us, again, heard anything different because he was firing fast when he did it. It's on video. You'll hear. You don't hear the squib. You don't hear a difference in report. He tried to chamber around 2 or 3 times. And, I'm filming. He's doing, I'm like, breezy, stop, wait, stop. And he said, and I'm like, let me see that. And I'm looking. I said, I saw all this powder go. And we look in the gun, and he goes, oh, yeah, look, there's powder everywhere. I said, give me that. I know what happened. And we look, and sure enough, there's a bullet stuck in there. And again, had it went far enough down to chamber that next one, kablooey. Wasn't a gun's fault. It was ammo fault. Beautiful gun, by the way. FIREARMS, FNFAL. It was their shorty carbine that they had. It was a really cool rifle. I think 16-inch barrel on it or something. Really neat rifle. Yeah, another close call. You got to be careful. Got to be careful. Ammo is not a perfect thing. I can tell you this. I've had fewer mishaps with my reloads than I have factory ammo over the years. I've never had a squib on my reloads. Well, now I've seen 3 on in person, been part of me shooting or someone with me, have it almost be catastrophic. And only by the grace of God and luck did it not happen. So yeah, pay attention just as much as an overcharged round. There's not much you're going to do about that. I mean, look what it did to those guns, sent them sky high, right? But a squib can be just as dangerous. So be careful, my friends. What a squib round? What is a squib round? A squib round is just how it sounds. Like the report will be or just pop instead of bang. You're shooting along and boom, 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 and all of a sudden you get a pop or a pop fizzle. Whatever the case may be, just it's not as strong a report. And maybe you'll also feel softer recoil or no recoil. It's usually due to a case that has no powder in it. It's been not charged or severely undercharged, or maybe it was charged correctly, but the powder didn't burn or burned partially. Could be due to the primer, but usually it's more a powder thing I've seen. Usually anything a primer is going to give out, if that thing makes even a small pop, the powder's going. Usually it's the powder's problem. And it's just that, a squib, a dud, so to speak. Not a dud where it didn't fire at all, but you got a pop. At least that primer popped and you got either no burn, because a primer with no powder in it is enough to send that bullet partially down the rifling of the barrel. In my case, none of the powder burned, only the primer on that 7.62 by 39, and it pushed it out of the brass down into the rifling, far enough to let a round almost chamber. Had it went another, I don't know, 1/4 inch down the barrel, that next round would have chambered, and boom, that would have been it. And now you're blocking the barrel. That next round fires. There's nowhere for it to go, nowhere for the exhaust gases to go. It hits that, and that pressure builds up so fast that just boom. There have been cases where guys have had one stick in the barrel and the second round pushes both out, and somehow the gun hangs together. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be the test pilot for that one. I would say chances are you're probably going to see the gun blow as opposed to push both rounds out the barrel. I doubt it highly. Now, if that next round chambered and that bullet was right on the ass end of the one in front of it, maybe. But if there's space between the two bullets, I think you're going to have some serious problems, any kind of space between them. So yeah, I think the only way you'd get one to push is if it was right on the next one, where the dud only went in so far, and that next round chambered, but was literally right on its ass, where it's kind of acting like one projectile. Maybe you got a better chance of it not blowing, I would think, at that point. But who knows? I'm not an expert in that. Just giving you my opinion. You don't want it to happen. So if you ever have one, here's how you avoid something bad happening. You feel around that the recoil feels different. That was a lighter round, or it wasn't as loud as normal, even slightly less loud. Take the time, stop shooting, pull the mag, cycle that round out, hopefully catch it so you can see what's going on. Not that that would be probably the bad round, but or let's say it failed to eject. Open it slowly so you can see what's going on, and then take it down to where you can either, and you need it fully apart. I don't want anybody saying Rockford Ordnance told me to look down a barrel. No. But you want it fully apart where it is absolutely 100, 500% non-functional. And even then, if there is, let's say, a live whole cartridge stuck in there, don't do it, guys. Don't. Um, but if the cartridge portion is gone, meaning the brass, the primer, whatnot, and you've waited a little bit of time, okay. But the best way to do it is to get a cleaning rod or a dowel and just make sure the barrel's clean. Or clear. That's the best way to do it rather than look down it. Yeah, I know. If we know what we're doing, it's safe, but there's plenty of people that think they know what they're doing and they don't. So it's always safer to use a rod to inspect that there's not a bullet stuck in the barrel. You can even get a fairly what you think is significant bang, but it's less than normal, and have a bullet stuck in the barrel. Maybe it traveled that far down. Maybe it traveled 15 out of 16 inches down. Who knows? It could still be in there. And if it is, it's a monster problem. If you cannot, usually they'll tap out with a cleaning rod or a dowel. Real easy. Depending where it's stuck in the barrel, if it's right at the beginning of the rifling, I'd tap it back out into the chamber. If it's further down, if you can, tap it out then from the chamber out. But yeah, either way, very dangerous situation. Be very careful with it and watch for it. It's happened. If it happened that many times to me, it happens on a daily basis somewhere, I'm sure. So be careful. I heard about the Dastava blowing up. Yes, it was the ammo. Hattori Hanzo ZSR 9 was fine for him, but he's going to avoid. I don't know if it's something to avoid. It was all so far, and what has been reported has all been to lot 15. It's not to say there's other lots out there that just haven't been fired yet or didn't have a bad round or whatever. Who knows? Yeah, you might want to wait and see what ZSR puts out on their website, or if they put a recall out or something like that. There's recalls on ammo all the time, guys. And I've seen recalls on gunpowder. And it's usually because there's a problem. Either overcharged, undercharged, or they know they got a batch of bad primers or bad powder, or maybe to a lesser extent, maybe sized wrong or overall length wrong or something. Who knows? But something's wrong. Pay attention when you see recalls. No lags. That's good. Do you hunt? Yes, I hunt, sir. Um, I do a lot of pheasant hunting. I deer hunt. Um, I would love to. I've never done it, but every year I say I'm going to do it, and then I don't get my. Um, I don't apply for my tag in time for turkey season. I never was really into it until a friend of mine started hunting it, and he was so excited about it. And his first hunt out, let's see, about a year and a half ago or so, um, he went out and he got himself a really nice tom. And just I'm pretty good at calling with a slate call. Um, and I've got turkeys on the back property, on the front lawn, down my driveway some days. So I call them. I've called them from over 100 yards out. Actually, from my bathroom window, I called him all the way up to the house. He was down below me. I could have dropped a brick on him. He came running pretty good too toward the end. But I would never do anything illegal like that. I have a high amount of regard and respect for game laws and all that. I enjoy hunting. I enjoy the animals in general. So I really pay attention to that. And I want to try it. I guess my dream hunt that I've always wanted to do, and it's a shame and it's my fault. I put it off, but we had talked about it for several years. For some of you that don't know, I lost my son about a year and a half ago. Maybe it's coming up on 2 years now. It seems time flies. It seems like yesterday. But we had talked about going out west for an elk hunt, because there's two hunts that are kind of my dream hunt, on my bucket list, and that's an elk hunt and or a moose hunt. But it's really always been kind of elk to me, because I want to do a pack-in trip on horseback where you ride into a camp that's already set up with the big white cabin tents that each have the black cast iron stoves in them, and they serve breakfast every morning, and then you go out hunting. I've always wanted to do that. That's like a dream hunt to me. And I'm not a big horseman. I can ride okay. My wife's a horseback person. She rides. That's her hobby. But I always wanted to do that, and get out further than the average guy. I have no friends, access to where I could just go out west and go hunting somewhere. So have to do it with a guide or service at a minimum. And I don't want the typical guide where you go where everybody else is hunting and it's high pressured and all that. If I'm spending that kind of money, I want a pretty good degree of success. And I don't care if it's rifle or bow. I think for that particular hunt, I'd rather do rifle. I love bow hunting. I've bow hunted much more than I have rifle hunted. I got into bow hunting in high school, like junior, senior year. And man, bow hunting was my life for a long, long time. I went to school in Michigan, and I hunted every day that bow season was open, every day. If not morning and evening, every evening for sure. I love bow hunting, and I don't know, I just like it. I think the challenge is so much more fun. Not to say I don't like rifle hunting. I love rifle hunting. Most of my hunting for deer, whitetails, has been done with a 30-30, the same one that I got when I was 15 years old, Winchester 94. blue with walnut stalks. Bases could be. It was bought for $99 at Kmart. I still have it, and it still looks great. And I've hunted with it every year, but the year after my son died, because he was going to hunt that year with my 30-30, and I was going to hunt with my Henry 45 long Colt lever action. So that year, since he couldn't go, I left that one leaning on the mantle, and I took my 45 out. Unfortunately, I didn't get a deer that year, but yeah. But yeah, my dream hunt is an elk hunt out west, pack in. I wanted to do it with my son. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it because I have really nobody else to go with, and that's not really a hunt I want to do by myself. I don't mind going with strangers. It's always nice to meet people, and I'm not shy like that or antisocial. It'd be fine, but it's something that special I'd want to share with somebody. And my friends that are close enough to me to where I'd want to go with them. I shouldn't put it that way because I'd go with just about any friend, but they're not into it that much, or it might be hard for them to afford because I'm sure it's expensive. We had started to look into it. I had found a few places that were affordable. We had put some money away for it, and we're probably going to be able to do it in the next year to 2 years. The other thing would be moose hunting in Canada, or maybe somewhere in the States, but Alaska, maybe. I don't know. I almost now hate to go to Canada just because of the politics of the whole thing, but I think moose hunting would be another great one. I applied for bear permits 5 years in a row up here, and they said, "Oh, within 5 years you'll get a tag." I never got one. Now it's a lottery, and for a bunch of years I had quit applying. Well, now I'm going to start again. We got 20 years ago up here, we didn't. A bear was a rarity. You had to go to the dump to see them, or once in a rare while you would catch a glimpse of one on the road, or maybe you'd hear a neighbor on the lake say, "Oh yeah, they got my garbage last night." Well, now you can see one any day sometimes. I've got pictures I'll show you guys one day on here, of a bear. Me and my wife were in the car leaving the house going to town, and a huge female bear came out of the woods right behind our house and crossed the road right in front of my car. It was higher than the hood, and it looked at us, kind of didn't stand up, but perked up and craned its neck up and looked right in at me. Walked across the road, down the ditch. There's a fallen log, and with one swipe, it ripped the rotten log right open and just sat there eating, paying no attention to me. And that bear went every pound of 350 on a big black bear. I see a lot of cubs. I got pictures of cubs on the porch and on the deck, and I had a bear corner. My mom was on the pier one day, and the neighbor saw the bear come down the frontage. It put its paws up on one of our cabin windows and looked in, proceeded down the lakefront, got to the end of the pier. My mom was out at the end sitting on a bench having coffee with the dog, and the dog must have winded it, turned around, and the neighbor saw this happening and didn't know if she should yell, warn her, whatever, yell at the bear. Well, the dog winded the bear, turned around, started barking, and the bear took off. Meanwhile, my mom was thinking she should jump in the lake or something. But they pretty much leave you alone. As long as they hear you, when we go up to the mail and stuff, just make sure you're making noise and whatnot, because they're always, our mailboxes are right where the garbage is on garbage night. It used to be we could put garbage out anytime. Now you want to put it out in the morning when the truck's coming, not at night, or you got a big mess every night. One of the neighbors put chains around it, it doesn't help. They get in it no matter what. Um, yeah, there's a lot of bears around now. Um, a lot. I mean, a lot. We've got wolves too. I saw a big wolf. I was outside of town, coming in toward late evening. Well, it was light out still, barely. Maybe, I don't know, 8 o'clock, and it was getting dark at 8:30 or so. And I see it coming across the road. It's a 2-lane highway there, 55 miles an hour, and I see it coming across. And at first I thought, just coyote. I kind of let off the gas. And my buddy goes, "Holy shit, that's a big." And I go, "Wolf?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Holy cow, look at the size of that thing." And they are huge. If you've never seen a wolf in person, there's no mistaking them for coyotes. Let me tell you that right now. They are big. I mean, at the shoulder, they are up. They're bigger than any German Shepherd or even Mastiff you've seen as far as height goes. They're tall. Now, I remember it's about 27 years ago, maybe 28, 29 at the most, when I first came up here years ago. We weren't up here full time yet. And they were talking then where they were releasing the first wolf pack here in northern Wisconsin. And they were radio collaring them. And I want to say there were 8 of them or something like that. No, it's going to be great. And no, we've got things under control and this and that. The other day on the news, they had something on about the wolf pack and how many there are now and how many different packs and all this. And now they're becoming a problem again. Livestock, people, pets. These are not, I mean, you think you got coyotes in your neighborhood and that's bad? How'd you like these things roaming around? I mean, they are nothing to be messed with. I never thought much. You read kitty books, or the werewolf or whatever, and you thought, oh, it's just like a dog or a coyote. No, no, no. There is a true reason why man fears wolves. Let me tell you, those things are ginormous. Let's see. I got to go back here to read your stuff here. No problem for explaining the squib thing. DJ said, no problem, man. Just watch for it. If it happens, just don't be scared of it happening. Just if it happens, recognize it. Don't go like I did. And I know better. And I jacked the next round because you're not thinking. You're in the middle of shooting. Everything's been fine. You've never had it happen. You've heard of it. Recognize it. If something's off recoil wise or sound wise, stop what you are doing. Even go, I'm pretty sure it went. No. Check. It's worth your time, trust me. Unless it's life or death and that next round means you or him, then don't. But other than that, stop and check it. If it's you or him and your gun goes kablooey, well, that may just floor him enough to at least you can throw the wreckage at him. Country boy thing. Sorry for your loss. Oh, no problem, man. It's something that you never get over, but it never stops hurting or never gets less at all. Gets worse sometimes, most times, but it just is. You just learn to deal. That's all. You get angry sometimes, that kind of thing, but if anything, I'll give you a little advice because some people, if somebody says that, especially if you're in person, right? We're on the web, no big deal. But if you're in person and somebody brings that up, if they're not bringing it up to make you feel bad or to make you feel uncomfortable, I can only speak for myself, but I think most people, they want to talk about it. They want to tell you about how great their kid was or whatever. They want to talk about it. It's because too many people go, oh, geez, I'm sorry. And, oh, God, did you hear? Nah, it's not like that. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel bad. Don't worry about it. we brought it up for a reason, I guess, you know, and it's not for pity or anything like that. It's sometimes it's hard to make sense of, you know. So yeah, it just is. So don't worry about it. You're not. It's not your fault. It's not a problem. It just is. That's all. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. Don't ever. Not at all. Let's see. I wanted to see what he has to say about hunting here. Um, Cowboys or country boy. I really want a turkey hunt this year. Never have. It just sounds so cool. You know, a lot of states, a lot of people consider it big game, and I always thought that weird. You know, but when you think about it, they're very intelligent. They have some of the best eyesight of any animal you can hunt. Movement is what you have to guard against. They can detect movement. You could almost hunt in flannel, high contrast flannel, red and black flannel shirt. If you're breaking up the pattern, they can't see the colors. It doesn't matter. It's breaking the pattern up. It's that movement that they see. Um, and you got to be very careful about it. I guess turkeys can wind you. Now, I don't think like a deer. Maybe I don't know. I always everybody talks about the eyesight, but maybe they can wind you. I don't know. Um, it's fun to call them and decoys and all that. And the more I watch it, and then my buddy telling me about it, is really cool. And I love shotguns, so you know, hey, what's not to love about it? I think they go a little overboard on the rounds they use. You ever look at some of those turkey loads? 5 rounds, $45. You know, number. It's got all different 3 types of shot in the shell and all. Come on, give me whatever number twos, number threes, number fours, and put me in a field and we'll go shoot a goddamn turkey. I think people go way overboard on the thought and effort put into this stuff. I'm not saying that things like pre-scouting, the proper rifle for the conditions, that type of thing. But to overthink stuff to that degree, it's a bird after all. Sure, it's probably smarter than your average bird and all that. I get it. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying, come on, $45 for some shells and all these chokes and this and that. Oh my God, grab a shotgun, decent rounds, go in the woods and get yourself a bird. God, what did we do all these hundreds of years without $45 shotgun shells and magic chokes and all this other shit? And I speak from experience. I have more shotgun experience than 100 people over have. Go back and look at some of my live streams. I got into guns shooting trap at a very high level and for an extremely long time. Let's see. I would love to go on an elk or moose hunt. Oh, wow. Ooh, breakfast. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I just think something about it more involved than jumping in a pickup truck and driven out to a stand or walk a quarter mile into a stand. I really want the experience of it. The rifle in the scabbard, the whole 9 yards. I've got a couple places that I've found that have the whole experience, and you need someone that specializes in that pack-in horse mule hunt. Uh, and you need to follow the guidelines they give you to a T as far as what to bring, what to pack, and how to pack. Because once you watch and learn how they load the mules, everything's got to be even on them, X amount of weight, size limits, the type of rifle, even based off the scabbard. You may be just having not the right rifle can change the hunt from extremely comfortable and enjoyable to absolutely horrible, where you get off that horse at the end of the day and your legs and everything are killing you because the way you had to put your knees because of the rifle. So pay very close. It's one thing everybody's told me is pay extremely close attention to what they tell you as far as equipment. what to bring, weight, size, all of that when it comes to packing these mules and horses to get you into the camp. So, yeah, it's just the experience, the whole thing. If I'm going to do that, and elk has just been my dream hunt. So I went to school in Michigan, and girl I was with at the time, family had a summer home in Gaylord, Michigan, way up north, kind of even to where I am now, straight across Lake Michigan, north. And it was situated on 7,000 acres, maybe 700. It's a lot of acres either way. Almost all wooded, some a little bit of pasture. All the roads through it were sand, 2-track roads. There were 7 houses built on one larger lake and one little bit smaller lake. 7 houses between the two, like 5 on one, 2 on the other. Both lakes you could not have a motor on. They were big enough to have a motor on a boat, at least maybe a 10 horse or something. You wouldn't want to put a Ranger with a 250 horse Verado on it out there, but um, great northern fishing, great walleye fishing right off the dock. Every time I think of the place, I think Kid Rock's song, catch a walleye from the dock. It was like that. All pine going down, gorgeous tongue and groove, old knotty pine inside, handrails made out of birch with still the white uh, birch bark on them and all shellacked in. Coolest place. And we'd go up there in the summer for weeks on end, and we'd be the only one on this entire property. Other people weren't at their houses. It was gated, and the only people that had access were those 7 people or families that owned those houses. And literally, I'd be up there for 3 weeks and never see a soul. We'd go up there bow hunting in the fall, and I brought a friend of mine with me and her, and she'd stay back at the house. We'd go out hunting. And one morning we're going out, and it's perfect morning. It's cold. There's like almost a frost. Things are smoking, coming off the fields and the trees. And it had just gotten light out, and we were a little late. We're walking down this 2-track, getting to where we're going to cut in the woods. And this noise rips out. I almost jumped out of my skin. I had never heard anything like it in my life. And I thought, I'm going to die. Something's about to kill me, or something's being killed, or I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. And I can remember the hair stand up on the back of my neck. It's like I was there. I didn't know at the time, but come to find out, it was a bugle. And this bull was bugling up a storm. They had elk up there, a very small herd. And this property, I guess, was part of its range or protected territory, or maybe they were even introduced on this. Like I said, it was a big chunk of property. And I believe it was a corporation that these families owned this property and these houses with. Anyhow, we locked up right there. Yeah, what the hell was that? And the guy I'm hunting with, while he hunted, was pretty good at it. He grew up a Detroit City boy, and we're like, what the hell? And I think somebody had said there was elk, and I had said, no way, there's no elk here. I thought they just didn't know what they were talking about. And he said, no, I think there's really elk, this thing. And so we listened, and he's bugling. And at first he was getting further away, and he must have swung back around, because we're sitting on the edge of this road. We had tucked into the woods in this little group of pines, and he came right past us within 10 feet of us. And I just watched this thing go by, and I just remember I could see the fur. It was in front of me through these branches, and it was his shoulder, and it was higher than my head. It was just this ginormous animal. And I thought, that's bigger than a horse. That's big. It was just unbelievable. And nothing stopped it. It cracked off branches, and It came through like a truck going through the woods. I mean, it was unbelievable. And we just sat there frozen watching this thing. And after that day, I said, man, I got to go elk hunting. I mean, it was unreal, unreal. And it makes me smile to this day. The animal was just absolutely magnificent, magnificent. And one of these days, I want to get out there before my breathing is so bad that I can't do it at those elevations. And up till about a year ago, I felt really good about it. Well, my breathing has gotten really bad this last year, and partially I just got over. This must have been building for a long time because I got to the point I almost couldn't catch my breath after a flight of stairs, and I've had my heart checked, all the stuff. My wife's a cardiac nurse. Nobody gets checked more than me. It was basically, I think I had walking pneumonia. I mean, I started using a CPAP again. And at first I thought, well, maybe the CPAP caused it because I didn't clean it or something. I hadn't used it for quite a while. And I was feeling so bad. I thought, well, I'm going to do everything the doctor's been telling me to do. I started using it again. I think it was just the humidity of it broke it up. And all of a sudden I'm coughing up, and I mean mounds and mounds of the greenest, nasty, infected, terrible, terrible, terrible. And I kept coughing up. I thought, well, that's a good thing. At least it's coming out now, because my lungs felt like they were closed off, impacted. Like I thought it was just the smoking's caught up with me, But no, as they cleared, I felt better and better and better. And then I thought, my wife was sick at the same time. We thought maybe it was the same thing, but no, mine to be like this, it must have been going on a long time. And I've been working so much, so hard, and running for different family emergencies that I'm not taking care of myself. And yeah, I'm doing much better, but I'm still coughing stuff up from it. And I'm on a round of antibiotics now and all that. So, yeah, I want to get wanted to do this hunt while I still can. As you get older, man, it catches up with you quick, and you can't, where I used to think, oh, just jump over that log or jump over that fence, or you stop and go, wait a minute, I can't just the mind says, yeah, go, but the body won't follow, you hook a leg or something and that kind of thing. So before I just can't do it anymore, I want to do that because that's a strenuous hunt. That's even horseback. I mean, any mountain hunting like that is, trust me when I tell you, I've spent enough time in the mountains skiing when I was younger a lot, time in Colorado in the summers. It takes you a while, even when you're younger, to get used to the air there and everything else. And I almost can't imagine. Yeah, hunting's going to be tough no matter what, even an easy one. So I don't know. Let's see. I'm glad we're talking about hunting, man. That's cool. Something we never talked about on here. And at the end of the day, if you're into firearms, yeah, there's a lot of guys that they love firearms, but they're not into hunting. It's just not their thing. They don't want to shoot an animal. They don't see a need. I get it. That's your prerogative. I don't push it on anybody. I enjoy hunting. I eat what I hunt. I only hunt what I'm willing to eat. I don't hunt rabbits anymore, although I love eating rabbits. I love my wife and her grandmother made some of the best German Hassenpfeffer, red paprika gravy, pan sauteed. Oh, so good. I could eat 2 of them right now. But they made them with domestic rabbits. I even bred rabbits for a short period, hoping she would make it. But once we had them, she didn't want me killing them. So, but I don't hunt them anymore after we had my daughter bred them and showed them. I just don't do it anymore. But I love eating pheasant. I love venison, elk, any of the deer family, bear. Living up here back before I was married, a lot of friends would get a bear and they'd have sausage made. I like it. I eat it. But I'll tell you one thing. If we're sitting in a fishing shanty, middle of winter, and you live like a king. The fishing shanty is the escape up here, right? It's like your man cave. You got your lazy boy chairs in there. You got your heater going. You got a TV, satellite, everything, anything you could want. And they get as basic or as crazy as you want. You should see some of these hunting fishing shacks. Anyhow, I was out with a buddy. We had a TV, and we're watching sports and whatnot, and got tip upset. And we're in there jigging and whatnot, and you bring cheese, and we catch hammer handle northerns all summer long. Little northerns that you'd normally throw back. Well, if you foul hook them or they're bleeding all over or something, they're going to die. You keep them as long as they're legal. And you get home and you clean them. And there's a way, if you live up here, you learn how to take the Y bones out of northerns real quick, and they eat just as well as anything else, as long as you can get the Y bones out if you're going to fry them or whatever. But it's a pain in the ass a little bit. But if you get these small northerns, you clean them, fillet them like normal, down, get the skin off. And then don't worry about the Y bones. Just cut them into chunks, and we throw them in the freezer. And when we have enough of them, we take whatever it is, a 2-gallon pickle jar, the big ones, and you put it in there with the brine, and we slice jalapenos and throw them in there, and you cap it up a few weeks before football season starts. And once football season kicks off, you pull it out, and it's like pickled herring, but better. And the brine firms up the fish, and it also does another thing. It dissolves the Y bones in it. So you don't have to take them out, and they're not there. They're gone. They dissolve. Y bones is why a lot of people don't eat northerns, because they're a pain in the ass. There's more bones in that fish than it's worth. If you don't know how to take them out, eating it is like you're constantly pulling bones out, right? Well, when you pickle these small ones like that, it dissolves them, and you get a slice of jalapeno and a chunk of fish and a cracker. And we're sitting out in the shanty eating that. And he had gotten a bear, and he had bear sausage. You're eating chunks of bear sausage, and bear is very fatty, right? And they mix it with other stuff for the sausage. But that bear meat in there, once you get that fat on your fingers, it is impossible to wash off. I used to joke, I think I have to go home and sandblast myself to get it off, because you could wipe, rub, snow, ice, it will not come off. It is the most, man, if you want to lube something for life, get yourself some bear tallow. Holy crap. You got to eat bear sausage with gloves. And it's kind of strong tasting and smelling, but it's good. I really like it. It's dark, very dark meat. And it's good. So I hunt what I eat, or eat what I hunt what I like to eat. So how's that sound? And I won't hunt it if I don't eat it. And by that, I don't mean giving it away to someone that does like it. I enjoy pheasant, deer, elk. I don't think I've ever had antelope. Never had moose. I don't know, the usual stuff, Wild boar I've had, that's fine. I want a wild boar hunt too. My son wanted to go on one of the trips where your main way of hunting them is from a tree stand with a spear. There's several places will allow you to do it, and they usually have someone backing it up with a gun, but they have these huge spears, and you spear them. I mean, the ultimate test of hunting. Let me tell you, a big boar can tear you up pretty quick. I had a buddy that had a dog torn to hell with one. And another guy I knew he lived in Missouri and had a pack of hound dogs, and his dogs would wear Kevlar vests when they went out hunting. And he had lost a couple of dogs to boar. I'd love to hunt. Well, black bear. See, the problem with black bear hunting is they hunt them with dogs and they hunt them with bait. and going to the bakery every morning and getting 7 dozen old donuts and 5 gallons of cake frosting and all this other crap, and throwing it out in a big pile out back and putting 2 tree stands up is not really my idea of hunting. So that's why I never pushed the black bear thing too much. And I realized that's how they hunt them, over bait, and you hunt them with dogs. I get it. I get it. That's how it's been done for hundreds, if not thousands of years, I guess. Dog hunting with dogs, right? And I'm not putting anybody down that does it that way. I get it, and it's legal, and I'm not saying it's even improper or anything. It's just not my idea of fair chase, so to speak. And that's me. I'm not putting anyone down. I get it. I'll hunt them if I have the chance. Yeah, no problem. But I really want to hunt brown bear or grizzly bear. I have a good friend whose son just moved back from Alaska and had the opportunity to hunt on Kodiak. He went with his wife. Actually, they weren't on Kodiak. They were on an island next to it. But I guess the same subspecies is there. And I didn't know this. Not only are there Kodiak bears there, but there's brown bears there too. Not grizzly or not Kodiak, brown bear. And he saw one the first day and had to move after pretty quick. And he had his wife with him, so he was worried about her. He looked back to check on her. When he looked back and continued to pursue, it was gone. And they never saw another one after that. Which I thought was pretty hard to do on Kodiak, but I guess it's, they make some of these places make it out to seem like, oh yeah, Kodiak, it's so hard to draw a permit that if you get one, you get a bear, but that's not the case. It's amazing that there's actually farmers out there that have cattle farms on Kodiak Island. How'd you like to have to protect that herd? First of all, who the hell would want to live on Kodiak Island? That is a legit scary thing, even with a house. I mean, you got to be on guard all the time, I would think, especially if they get used to you or coming to an area for livestock, or just running into one, the chance of running into one with cubs, whatever. My God. Just why raise your level of danger that high to begin with, or raise a family out there? Holy cow. Used to get black bear in the backyard when I lived in PA. They were afraid of people and dogs. Yeah, they are. The minute the dogs start, they're gone. And you'll never see one if you're making noise out in the woods. Although in higher populated areas, they don't pay much attention to you. They'll come across the road, grab a bag of garbage, and go right back across right in front of you. I heard that happened to me as a kid with my grandmother in Minnesota. We were up there fishing for a month or so in the summer. Olson's Resort. It wasn't Lake Keptogama. It was, we used to fish Lake Keptogama a lot. That's right near the border. And, but I forget where this was. And that week, my great-grandfather hit a moose with his big old 60s Impala. And we had a bear come across the road on the way to the grocery store walking. And I've never seen my grandmother move so fast in her life. She grew up in the UP, but you'd think she'd be, okay. But man, that bear came out and it was like, Grandma, Grandma, gone. And they'd come to the cabin every night in the garbage, and my grandfather was out on the porch handing them food in his underwear. My grandmother yelling at him. He used to take us to the dump to see him too. There'd be 6 or 8 of them out there. And and then my great grandmother lived in Silver Bay, Minnesota, a little town north of Duluth on Lake Superior, pretty close. And behind her house, it was just wilderness, went back just far as you could go. We'd take a little 50 mini bike and ride till the tank was half empty and use the other half to get back. and we'd see moose tracks all over the place. And she was kind of up on a hill overlooking town, and they rolled up the streets there at about 3 p.m. And you could watch from the front porch as the people went home that worked at the grocery store. The bears would come into the parking lot, and there'd be 3, 4 bears roaming around, eating whatever people had dropped in the parking lot, that kind of thing. And bears were everywhere up there. You just didn't pay much attention to them. And then later on, and when I was older, the bears kind of disappeared. Um, I went from 10 years old, or I went from maybe 6 years old to 12 years old, seeing bears all the time, to from 12 to shit, my 50s, till I started seeing big numbers of bears again. Um, where and there's still not as many as there was then. Granted, it was Minnesota versus Wisconsin, but yeah, there just weren't a lot for a long time. And now, trust me when I tell you, they are on the rebound. And then we go down to my wife's parents in North Carolina. They live in a little town outside of Asheville, up in the mountains. They actually live on the highest peak in the Smoky Mountains, and or in that area at least, I guess. And they own the whole top of the mountain. And the bears clean out their fruit trees completely. I got pictures of them on the picnic benches, on the porch, coming in the screen door with cubs, mother with 2 cubs, and she's out there feeding them with cubs. I'm like, you're gonna get yourself killed. So they don't mind. They got blackberry patches, huge black. They planted rows and rows of blackberry bushes, and we'll go up there to get them before the bears get them all. And you got to go in and make all kinds of noise before you grab them. That was always cool. But yeah, they got bears coming out their ears there too. So it's good to see a comeback like that. Country boy has to go. You all have a good time. Stay safe shooting. Squeaky. What's up, Squeaky? Yeah, black bears are. I don't think they will really. I mean, yeah, they can be dangerous, and with cubs usually, or if they're surprised. So if you're worried about them, walk through the woods whistling a little bit, or do like a lot of people up here for some reason, hey bear, like that as they walk along, hey bear. Or if you're talking or whatever, clap your hands here and there. You'll never see one. If you know one's in the area, make that kind of noise, especially in the spring, maybe if there's cubs around. But other than that, they want nothing to do with you. They want to avoid you more than you want to avoid them. Way less attack a human than a brown bear or polar bear. Polar bears they'll track men for miles and miles and miles, just like they will a seal or anything. By far the most dangerous bear on the planet, a polar bear. Somebody told me the other day that Kodiak bears were part polar bear. I don't know if they meant from years back crossbreeding or if they just meant their DNA. Obviously, DNA is similar, but they said no, it's a mix of a brown bear and a polar bear. I don't know if that's true. Meant to look that up the other day, but if it is, I mean, definitely Kodiaks are much larger than other brown bears and even grizzly. And polar bears are bigger than all of them. Polar bears are monstrous. And contrary to popular belief, no, polar bears are not running out of icebergs to live on and float on. They think polar bears float around on icebergs. That's just not the case. Actually, there's a lot more ice pack than there has been in 30 years. Check out NASA satellite photos. I looked at them as recently as 2 weeks ago. Yeah, black bears. Yeah, okay. Squeaky, as long as you don't mess with the cubs, a food source, corner them, and don't act like prey blackbird. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Chris's Bigfoot sighting experiences. No, I have never seen a Bigfoot. Do I believe there could possibly be something like that? Absolutely. You know how I look at it? I always look at it from the perspective of, especially in this case, we still find new species of all kinds of things every day, every year. new species of fish, monkeys, different things we thought were extinct, they come across again. I don't think people realize how big some of the wilderness expanses of the United States are. Take something like in the state of Washington or Utah, Colorado, Alaska. You have no idea how big some of these areas are. I would venture to guess that a family of 4 could move out into some of these and have semi-permanent structures and never be seen or heard or found or anything if they even remotely tried. Um, Huge expanses, some of it not crossed by roads, or even if it is, so much in between that uh, man never steps foot on, never gets back to. Yeah, there's people that'll get deeper in, but there's stuff so far back, so hard to get to, so unreachable that very few individuals venture out that far. So, could there be a population of something that could be out there living its life for hundreds or thousands of years and we just haven't found it yet? Sure, absolutely. And with enough food to keep it fed and alive and all of that. But what I really rely on is look at the reports, folklore, which to them it's actually not folklore, they take it very seriously. But look at all the reports of Native Americans. Um, all of those tribes in the Northwest have stories, folklore, artwork revolving around Sasquatch. Those stories don't come out of nowhere. They're not made up. They are something that may either have existed at one time and maybe no longer does or still does. But they didn't just, they're always grounded in truth. You know what I mean? Um, so do I believe they're out there? Yeah. Do I think we will eventually have enough evidence or find one dead or alive or whatever? Yeah, absolutely. I do. I believe they exist. I just believe we haven't found that concrete proof yet. And people say, well, today with cameras and this and that, here, I was comfortable sitting in my car when that bear came across the road, was standing with the hood 7 feet from me. I could see the hairs on its nose standing right there. And I had plenty of time as it came out of the woods. I saw it. It crossed the road. I stopped the car. I watched him come in front of the car, look at me, get back down, go over into the ditch, go down in the ditch, break a log open, and continue to eat. You know, when I finally got my camera out, after it had broke, and I was thinking about the whole time, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Jesus, look at that, man. Oh, man, here's the phone. And I snap pictures with a top of the line iPhone, right? Boom, boom, boom. 3, 4 pictures. Guess what they look like? Exactly every blurry ass photo you see of Bigfoot. I thought, okay, I get, because before I was like anybody, like, how in the hell did these people have this thing walking in front of them or doing whatever the hell it's doing and they couldn't get a goddamn picture of it? Or look at the video shaking and this and that. I did exactly the same thing. And I thought these were going to be great friggin' pictures, right? Click, click, click. The one you can make it out pretty good. You can see it's a bear because we know it's a bear. But if I showed you, you may go, huh, what is that? Is that a bear? Yeah, it's a bear. Okay. But they're that bad. And I was 10 feet, not even 10 feet, 12 feet maybe from it. And I had all the time in the world there to snap the pictures too. It stayed. We finally drove off, left it there. And they still came out like that. So do I think they exist? Absolutely, I think they exist. Call me nuts. I don't know. But I certainly think that their ability to be there, the habitat to be there, their ability to avoid man. Um, I've walked through areas where I didn't suspect a thing, and 30 seconds later, a bear walked out, and I had walked right past them, never knew they were there. I've done the same. We've all done. If you've hunted, you've done that with deer, with whatever. I've sat or stood standing with my foot either on or an inch away from a pheasant buried in the grass, smoked an entire cigarette, put the cigarette out, grabbed my rifle that was leaning on the fence, and the pheasant broke right in front of me the whole time and never saw it. Just absolutely. I got some walking around in the snow, but wasn't drunk enough to do it. Maybe someday. Oh man, there's some pretty good stories. I can't remember if it was Canada or Alaska, where some scientists have went back several times to this very. It's a house up there that they only fly into, and they've got some pretty good evidence of stuff. And even trying to capture different stuff have only got so evidence of it. But when we went pheasant hunting after that last Thanksgiving, they didn't want to move at all. Very cold and foggy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, wild. The problem is you don't see wild pheasants much anymore. And wild for those of you that are younger and don't live in, there's very few areas with good wild pheasant populations anymore, like South Dakota, parts of Iowa. Illinois, when I was growing up, there were still wild pheasants, and they are totally 100% different than pen raised pheasants at a hunt club. They actually suck at a hunt club. It really does. And the wild pheasants, and we were kids, so we didn't have dogs. We were the dogs, and man, you had to stomp around in that those hedgerows and everything just to get them to bust. And you could walk over that same spot 4 times and they'd hold tight. Those birds were smart, man. They learned if they stay put, you'll walk by them. Or they'd run on you and double back on you. And they're slick, let me tell you. Back then, there were enough birds that even without a dog, you'd see a few here and there. But I guarantee you walked over twice what you saw. I miss those days of wild bird hunting. It was actually fun. Now you go out, they don't want to fly. You got to kick them in the ass, or they'll run on you, or whatever. It sucks. It ain't the same. I got to get around to South Dakota hunting too. That's what I really want to do too. Southern Illinois still had wild pheasants around, but it's getting scarce. I blame cats. No, blame raccoons and coyotes. But more so, blame some of the farmers because here, southern Wisconsin, um, all the way to Wausau, certainly down south, nobody leaves cover anymore. They farm, they don't leave fence rows or hedge rows. They farm right up to it. Or there just aren't the fence rows there used to be. They've taken them out. Properties have consolidated, whatever, and that's valuable ground. So they want to plant every inch of it. And you may have a fence, and there may be no grass or a tiny strip where it used to be 20 feet wide on each side, thick like you wouldn't believe. And those pheasants had places to hide and to go and to lay their eggs. They got no habitat anymore. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the first place we went, hedgerows, and we could hunt train tracks back then too, which there were a ton of birds up. When where we lived last in Illinois, when we first moved in, which is going back 17, 18 years, that first year, there were pheasants down at the corner in the middle of the street pecking gravel. And then I had some on the property early spring. There was still snow on the ground. And then late fall one time there were some, and I went out back and came around the corner slowly. They saw me, and the bastards ran. When they got to the field, they came up, but it was too far a shot. But those were the last wild pheasants I've seen 18 years ago. Um, and I lived in farm country there for 15 years, right in the middle of it, and never went pheasant hunting because never saw any pheasants, and talked to all the farmers that lived on my road, everything, even when they were out um, combining and everything, no birds, nothing. So that was the end of that. Now, the biggest deer of my life were all down there in Illinois because we weren't far from Carroll County, which some of the biggest deer in the world and the biggest records in the world come out of there. And I'm talking natural deer. We were actually Ogle County, and man, I've seen some monsters on my property there. Monsters. That's a bad thing about Wisconsin. The deer are tiny, tiny, tiny. They have hard life up north here. They don't get as much to eat in the winter, especially a heavy snow winter like this one. Yeah, there'll be a lot of winter kill and some skinny ass deer come spring, let me tell you. Anyhow, yeah, I wish it was better. It was good to talk about hunting. We got one more thing to show you, and then we're going to call it a night here. So the pre-band stuff, I showed you guys. I don't know if I showed you one. Did I show you the one that goes with this? How cool is that? Now, my dad had one of these when I was a kid, right? The gun that is that goes with this. This is the ammo. And he had one. That's why I wanted this so bad, because I remember it as a kid. And so now I've got it pre-banned, brand new in the box, unfired. And I got a couple of boxes of this came with it. And I don't ever remember my dad having this Uzi branded ammo. And Uzi 50 center fire cartridges. And it was imported by Action Arms, the same people that brought in these Model A Uzis. It says it on here somewhere. Manufactured in Israel by Israeli Military Industries, IMI, which is now IWI. And let's see if it, I thought it listed Action Arms as the importer somewhere on here. But now I don't see it. Got a lot number though. Ooh, close to it. It's 118. That one, well, that was lot 15, I think, of that bad stuff from that other company. I know this was brought in by Action Arms. It says it somewhere on here. I just not finding it right now. 150 grain, 15 grain, full metal jacket, carbine plus P. So it's some hot ammo. Obviously, I'm not going to shoot it because this in itself is collectible and cool. The boxes are a tad, just a little bit tattered. And I want to open it to show you guys some, but I don't want to tear it. So let me see if I can open it here to show you guys. There we go. All right. It is brass cased. And every time I open this box, it's risking. There's the box. I don't know if any of you have seen this stuff before, but hey, it's just 9mm, but carbine plus P. But look, it's kind of neat. So it's brass cased, but the tips are painted red. You see that? And I was telling somebody about it, and they joked that it was cow's blood or something like that. I forget what they said. I didn't get it till later, but yeah, there it is. Uzi ammo. So we got a few boxes of that, and I'm still kicking around whether or not we're going to turn it from unfired to fired. We'll see. I kind of got to. I didn't buy it to, be a safe queen. I enjoy shooting it. And when I was a kid and my dad had the same one, I enjoyed it so much shooting it. And it was the one I remembered most. So now that I've got one just like it, why not, right? I talked about my son earlier. I wish my son was here to see it and experience, because I always told him about it and that one day I'd get one, and and I wish he was here to shoot it, but he'd enjoy it. He'd enjoy it. Yeah, there's other stuff. We got more surprises coming. Um, uh, we'll get you some videos. We've got just 3 beautiful things to bring you, so I can't wait to show it to you. Been teasing you with it here, so we'll get some out there and get it going. If anything, a bench top, and we'll go from there. But hey, thanks for bearing with us. We weren't around last week. We just had a lot going on in Florida and whatnot. So here we are. I hope you enjoyed the reloading video. For those of you that reload, there's really, that's the best information I can give you. Information from my experience and what works well, the quickest, the easiest. It may not be quick and or easy, but it's the quickest and easiest there is. And whether you're reloading and trying to get your brass really nice, that's the way to do it. Or maybe you want to just clean up some brass you've collected and had laying around, want to make some money on it to go buy some ammo or something. It's a great way to do it. And brass is bringing good money. So, or save it for a rainy day. Who knows? You may need it, and it's always good to get into reloading and get the components. It's always about the components. Amass the components while they're available. Don't wait till everyone's searching and, oh my God, I can't find primers, or whatever. Get it now. There's some around now. So it's getting easier. It's still not like it was, but it's there if you want it. So enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed the bayonet. Hope you enjoyed seeing that. Hope you liked our M1 Grand. That was pretty good shooting with iron sights on an 80-year-old World War II rifle at 100 yards. It was a blast. And the more I shoot that M1 Grand, the more I enjoy it. Get out the old milsurps, have some fun. I'm going to bring the Moes and the Gants along on the next trip, so you'll get to see some range footage on those, other than at night fireballs like I brought in the one video. So watch for those. And let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. And we'll go from there. If you like the hunting tales or whatnot, I got some good stories back in the day about me and the guy I talk about, Scrodlip, pheasant hunting when we were teenagers, waiting in sweat lines to hunt the state parks. And as teenage boys will do, and you're waiting at 2 a.m., sleeping in your car, waiting to get in hunting, maybe having a swig off the old cheap bottle, whatever. Yeah, we got plenty of good stories about that. But it was a lot of fun, and it's always good. Tell us your hunting stories. Talk about what you want us to talk about here. I'm glad somebody brought up that ammo thing with those guns exploding. Guys, if you get any of that batch 15 of that ammo, the 308, you probably don't want to shoot it. I would check their website, see if they have put out a statement yet, so you know what's safe and what's not. And I'm glad you guys were interested and asked about those squib loads, because those can cause some harm too. You could lose a finger, you could lose your eyesight, a lot of things. So pay attention. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, you want to know what to do. So I'm glad I could bring that to you guys. Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up. Enjoy the channel. Go back and dig. There's lots of stuff. And we'll have some videos for you this week. And until next Tuesday night, the next edition of Koffee and Kalashnikovs and Peach Red Bull, we will see you then. Thanks, guys. Love you. And thanks for everything you do. And as always, Rockford Ordnance out. Good night.